State Capitol, and I want to commend UCM, professors, staff, board of governors, that we are a shining star among the state universities, and a lot of the different things that we're doing are models for a lot of the other state schools. And so I want to commend the board of governors and professors and staff on that. And one of those items that President Obama talked about was the Senate Bill 381. We did have the Nixon come in and sign that bill earlier this year. That's a great bill and great law that will go into effect August 28th. And so I want to commend the university for supporting us on that, as well as commend the House sponsor as well as the Senate sponsors that going through to create that fund in order to further the Innovation Campus. In other news, and before I turn it over to Senator Pierce, we did have the Speaker Pro Tem election this past weekend, and I'm glad to report that I am the new Speaker Pro Tem of the Missouri State House of Representatives, so that is the #2 leadership spot in the Missouri State House of Representatives. I'm excited about the opportunities that will afford me to help out UCM as well as the 54th District in the state of Missouri. So I'm transitioning into that new role in leadership, and therefore I will be giving up my chairmanship of the appropriations for economic development, and I think there's 5 other ones on there: Department of Revenue, Department of Insurance, Department of Labor, and MoDOT. So it's kind of a transition period for us as we lead up to veto session on September 11th.
And of course, this has been in very specific spotlight across the state, both from the governor and the legislature, and going into the veto session. I think for us, just specifically focusing in on the impact on the University of Central Missouri, when we're at a point where we're educating the most students, graduating the most students, maintaining a high level of performance, I've done everything as diligent as we possibly can to be good stewards of our resources. David, as you mentioned, the funding formula in this appropriation cycle, even though we got an appropriations increase, it did not meet the requirements of just our Mosher mandate to keep up with our retirement. And as best as we understand it, the range of potential negative impact on general revenue could range from $600 million, kind of in a best case, to maybe as much as $1.2 billion in a worst case. And of course, anywhere, as you know, as appropriators, anywhere in that kind of loss of revenue would mean, as the governor said, a very difficult time and even thinking about running state government the way that we're currently running it. And certainly we continue to be more efficient. But with his tack of maintaining the state's AAA bond rating by putting a withhold in place currently at $200,000 a month and a projected $2.5 million loss of appropriations in this fiscal year, without passing significant cost on to students, which we know one of the best things that we collectively have done together is hold our increases in cost down, it would be catastrophic for the University of Central Missouri. And there would be no way for us to meet this fiscal challenge without reducing workforce. Or significant, and when I say significant, it would be major double-digit tuition increases passed on to our students, and we all know that they simply just can't afford it. And we've heard from all of the public sector, and of course K-12 has been very direct in its impact, resolutions from school boards, and but we would ask, especially at a time when we are trying to run as high performance to meet the state's needs, and as you said, trying to create the future from here, it would not just slow our momentum, it would take it away from us. So I would like to just ask, where is it, what you would suggest for us to do to underline its impact, not just on Central Missouri and our students, but across the state, across education, and certainly within scarce resources, if we look across the border to our west, there's no demonstration that tax experiment has done anything to strengthen resources to put into teaching. So I just ask, what can we do? Where are we?
I guess the first question I have, I know that we ended up with $400 million surplus over this past fiscal year, and the governor's decided to withhold that. So has the board taken any position on asking the governor to release the withholds?
Well, we've talked to the governor about releasing the withhold.
Great.
And absolutely. As John Merrigan would note right now, with his TAC, it is $200,000 of cash withheld monthly, which would not take us very long to feel. And I guess the only thing he's come back with and said, until we get through veto session and know where that's going to go, that he'll continue. And if it is overturned, his intent would be to keep that on us all year.
There are a lot of different groups out there, and I know the governor has his groups and his talking points, as well as what he believes to be a catastrophic shortfall of revenue. I'm of the other opinion. I don't believe that I believe that the governor's playing political games, and he's hitting on the right groups and withholding these funds, even though that money is right there in order to be used. And I disagree with the governor philosophically as far as what a tax cut would do for the state of Missouri on the personal side, an incremental tax cut of 0.5% over the next 10 years. And that only happens if general revenue increases $100 million each year. So the full tax effect on personal income would be 0.5% over 10 years. And again, that does not happen. The general revenue doesn't increase at least $100 million. So philosophically, the governor and I have a difference of opinion on the economic impact of this. I know you mentioned Kansas, our neighbor to the west. We've seen other states, such as Tennessee, Oklahoma, Texas. I mean, if you haven't heard yet, the governor, Rick Perry, is coming to Missouri next week, and he's launched a campaign to try and lure Missouri businesses to the state of Texas. And he promotes the low tax state as well as a state that's very friendly for business and the economy. So I guess I understand your concerns, and many of my colleagues have those same concerns on both sides of the aisle. I do have, I do share some of those concerns, but philosophically, I believe that those can be overcome, and I do not believe in the doomsday projections that Governor Nixon has said. And I've gone on the record and I've said I guarantee that if House Bill 253 was overridden, education will not receive less money next year. We will not fulfill the governor's prophecy. So that's kind of where I stand. I know Senator Pierce and I agree on a lot of things, and we have a difference of opinion on this issue. So,
but I'm taking the governor on his word. He's going to maintain the withhold of the veto overturn.
This has been a point of contention with the Missouri General Assembly as well as the governor's office, and something we'll probably have to take to court. Constitutionally, the governor is not supposed to withhold unless the revenue is not there. Well, the revenue is there, and he's still deciding to withhold. My personal opinion on 253, currently, I do not believe the votes are there for override the governor's veto. Could that change? Yes, it could change. I have been in discussions with some of the different groups, education as well as business groups, in the event that it's not overridden on September 11th, to come together and try and work out a tax cut as well as provide adequate funding for education.
The board has discussed at great length this whole situation. You can refer to it as a difference in philosophy. Frankly, I don't care what you refer to it as. This board has got the responsibility of this university. And I've seen President Ambrose, the faculty, the staff, and everybody cut to the core, budget-wise, for the last 3 years. The last thing we need is a further crunch because of political differences. There isn't any political difference when it comes to higher education. I mean, we got a responsibility. And we would ask that the two of you do not support the position of overriding this veto. I mean, we can't sit back and wonder who's right or wrong, because some money's going to go by the wayside, and whatever it is going to hurt us. So, you know, we would ask you to support this university, which is in your district, and the people. We think we're one of the best universities in the state. I happen to think it is the best. A lot of it is due to the help from people like you, and we're asking you again, and I'd like to go on record for this board as requesting that you support us in this override session. And we appreciate you coming in very much. If you ever have any questions, why give us a call. We'll try to answer.